3, Love and War. To tell the story of the Revolutionary War would be a much longer undertaking that could be contained in this short production. So instead, I focused on the love letters between Colonel Alexander Hamilton to his future wife, Elizabeth Schuyler, during the war. When the first stirrings of revolution began, Alexander Hamilton left college in New York to join the militia, serving as a captain in an artillery company. He was with General Washington and his army when they crossed the Delaware River on Christmas night in 1776 and distinguished himself in the Battle of Princeton several days later. 3 months later, he was asked to join General Washington's staff and would spend the rest of the war living and fighting alongside General Washington as his aide-de-camp. Elizabeth Schuyler was the daughter of Major General Philip Schuyler. They met in the winter of 1780 while he was stationed at winter headquarters and she was visiting relatives. They fell in love almost immediately, and when she left to return home to Albany, they stayed in touch through letters, often delivered to her by her father. They were married in December of 1780, and after a brief honeymoon, Colonel Hamilton would rejoin the war effort and return to her after the final victory at Yorktown. They would go on to have 8 children together, and she would stand by him through scandal and hardships until his death in a duel with then Vice President Aaron Burr at the age of 49. She lived another 50 years and spent the remainder of her life promoting his life and legacy until her death at the age of 97. Because Colonel Hamilton was such a good storyteller, I couldn't resist including a letter to his future wife describing the discovery of the betrayal of General Benedict Arnold. Keep in mind that we now know that General Arnold's wife, Peggy Shippen Arnold, was not only aware of his treason, but was fully supportive of it. She would join her husband in England after the war was over.
Alexander Hamilton to Elizabeth Schuyler. Colonel Day's house, Bergen County, New Jersey, July 6th, 1780. Here we are, my love, in a house of great hospitality, in a country of plenty, a buxom girl under the same roof, pleasing expectations of a successful campaign, and everything to make a soldier happy, who is not in love and absent from his mistress. As this is my case, I cannot be happy, but it is my maxim of my life to enjoy the present good with the highest relish and to soften the present evil by, I hope, a future good. I alleviate the pain of absence by looking forward to that delightful period which gives each of us forever. And my imagination serves up such a feast of pleasure as almost makes me forget the deprivation I now experience. But alas, my girl, this does not always do. The illusion will not always soothe. My heart every now and then cries. You are separated from the lovely partner of your life. 4 long months must elapse before this separation ends. Your sweet girl with nothing to engage and divert her attention, and perhaps suffering the keenest anxiety for the situation of her lover, not only absent from her, but exposed to 1,000 imaginary dangers. But my dearest, quiet your apprehensions, for I know your tender fond mind is too apprehensive a cast, and let your thoughts run only upon the delights which our reunion will afford. Assure yourself, my love, that you are seldom a moment absent from my mind, and I think of you constantly, and I talk of you frequently. Adieu, my angel, be happy, and love me as well as I love you. Alex Hamilton. From Alex Hamilton to Elizabeth Schuyler, September 25th, 1780, Robinson House, Highlands, New York. In the midst of my letter, I was interrupted by a scene that shocked me more than anything I've ever met with. The discovery of treason of the deepest dye. The object was to sacrifice West Point. General Arnold had sold himself to Andre for this purpose. The latter came but in disguise, and in returning to New York was detected. Arnold, hearing of it, immediately fled to the enemy. I went in pursuit of him, but was much too late. I could hardly regret the disappointment when on my return I saw an amiable woman, frantic with her distress for the loss of her husband. She tenderly loved, a traitor to his country and to his fame, a disgrace to his connections. It was the most affecting scene I'd ever was witness to. She was for a considerable time entirely lost her senses. The general went up to see her. She upbraided her hair for him, being in a plot to murder her child. One moment she raved, another she melted into tears. Sometimes she pressed her infant to her bosom and lamented its fate, occasioned by the imprudence of its father in a manner that would have pierced insensibility itself. All the sweetness of beauty, all the loveliness of innocence, and all the tenderness of a wife, and all the fondness of a mother showed themselves in her appearance. We have every reason to believe she was entirely unacquainted with the plan, and that her first knowledge of it was when Arnold went to tell her he must banish himself from his country and from her forever. She instantly fell into convulsions, and he left her in that situation. This morning, she is more composed. I paid her a visit and endeavored to soothe her, but every method in my power, though you may imagine she is not easily to be consoled, added to her other distress. She is very apprehensive the resentment of her country will fall upon her for the guilt of her husband. I have tried to persuade her apprehensions are ill-founded, but she has too many proofs of the illiberality of the state to which she belongs to be convinced. She received us in bed with every circumstance that could interest our sympathy. Her sufferings were so eloquent that I wished myself her brother, to have a right to become her defender. As it is, I've entreated her to enable me to give her proofs of my friendship. Could I forgive Arnold for sacrificing his honor, reputation, and duty? I could not forgive him for acting a part that must have forfeited the esteem of such a fine woman. At present, she almost forgets his crime and his misfortune, and her horror at the guilt of the traitor is lost in her love for the man. But a virtuous mind cannot long esteem a base one, and time will make her despise, if not make her hate. Indeed, my angelic Betsy, I would not for the world do anything that would hazard your esteem. 'Tis to me a jewel of inestimable price. I think you may rely I shall never make you blush. I thank you for all the goodness of which your letters are expressive. I entreat you, my lovely girl, to believe that my tenderness for you every day increases, and that no time or circumstances can abate it. I quarrel with the hours that they do not fly more rapidly and give us to each other.